Hi everybody, this is Chris Moralia from T4 EdTech, and today we're talking about Eduprotocols as assessments. So in this case, I used these Eduprotocols, which I'll explain in just a minute, because my students were studying the Civil War. And this year, because of time, I couldn't possibly cover what I would like to cover. So what I did is I had students select topics that I thought would be of interest to them. Let's talk about these Eduprotocols. They're created by John Corippo and Marlena Hebern, and they have a whole series, 3 books that are part of a series. Basic concepts that teach smarter, not harder. These lessons, if you want to call them, or we call them protocols, are allowing for student choice. They're great. They can be used for assessments. They allow for practice, repetitive practice over and over again. And there's a whole series of protocols. So I highly encourage you to go check out the Eduprotocols if you haven't done that before. So let's take a look at what was done in my classroom today. First of all, I want to shout out to Amanda Sandoval at History Sandoval because she came up with this idea of choice boards. I'm a firm advocate of choices. My students need to have choices because when they have choices, they're student agency, they're engaged, and they produce. So I came up with some various questions I've used in previous years, and all of these are inquiry questions. They require students to use Wakelet for research, or they could come up with their own. So let's take a look at what they did. So here are the questions here. Next thing is, how are they going to produce something? So here's where you have choices once again. So choices with the questions and also choices with how they're going to be assessed. They can create what's called an infographic using numbers. In Eduprotocol language, that's called a number mania. It is one of my favorite assessments. It's great for reading. Students simply read. It's in history. You read an article. It could be a lot of different subjects, but you're picking out numbers, anything that has to do with a date, percentages, numbers, and you're going to see the examples of what it looks like. They can also do a digital poster or create a sketch and tell. Once again, these are awesome ways to assess students. Here's a number mania. Okay, this student looked at the different sources, and then extracted the different language, whether it's percentages, whether it's dates, or just numbers, or even dollar amounts. And here I can see they totally understand the concept. Okay, they substituted out the different icons there. These icons were already, it was pre-formatted, and they just substituted out and put their own information in. Great way to assess students. Here's another example of what we call number mania, okay? And right away I can see the students understand. Great, it's a quick assessment, and also the students are reading without even knowing it sometimes, and they're producing something. Here's another one. You can see I'm infatuated by these numbers, okay? This was an awesome representation of the reading. Here's a digital poster, okay? So digital poster requires them to put bullet points of information and then also utilize pictures as well. And once again, I could take a look at this very quickly and see, bang, this student definitely understands what they're doing. And they definitely understand the essential question. And here is a sketch and tell. Now, once again, I really like to use all of these because students tap into their own talents. And that is real important for me. It's not me telling them, you have to write an essay. This is where they are going to create their own work, and it's representative of what they've learned in the class. So once again, those are our Eduprotocols. That's how I use them in history class. And we'll come back at you with another example of great learning and student engagement in my classroom.